CTT module 3 is at the step 1, CTT module 4 is all about animals, CTT module 5 is all about clinicals. And then you have got the FDA review process. Now, I just forgot to put the PDUFA and GDUFA abbreviations. It's nothing but the Prescription Drug User Fee Act, and this is the Generic Drug User Fee Act. It's like, okay, your file is ready, you've given it to the regulator to approve it. There is a certain fee which is associated with. The regulatory authorities also need the time. And this is associated with the particular fee. They need resources. Then only they will approve your drug in the given time. So that's about it. Then you have pharmacovigilance, and there are different, in US, it's the FDA MedWatch, the databases, and several other databases. Our own India, we have the pharmacovigilance centers, which are monitoring the drugs. But mind you one thing, every time a regulator gives permission for the drug to come out in the market, they always weigh the benefit and the risk. This analysis is always there. Let's not forget the thalidomide tragedy, isn't it? The thalidomide tragedy, anything wrong, Santosh?
No.
No, nothing. Yeah. So the thalidomide tragedy is a grim reminder. So imagine a regulator gives permissions, how much onus is there on him to really think, oh, can this drug be safe? Is it beneficial? And what are the risks? Because everything does come with a risk, isn't it? So even in the case of remdesivir, when it was given for compassionate use, mind you, I also had to sign, or rather my sister had to sign a document saying that, you're taking it at your own risk because it's not approved still. So you might now start wondering that, okay, you understood the regulator is taking part in research, but how many such new drugs are coming? So I took the example again of US. US FDA every year publishes how many new novel drug approvals were done. This includes the biological molecule as well as your the chemical drug also. So over a period of 10 years, if you see, anywhere between 21 to 42. And even in 2020, in this pandemic, if you see, the regulator was definitely giving permission. They were definitely doing drug approvals. And mind you, at 42 number, you have nothing but the drug remdesivir, which was approved now in 22nd October in the US. So what I want to just tell you by this slide is that the number of novel drugs on an average are anywhere in 30 novel drugs which are approved every year. Okay, so one role of the regulator is done. The drug is approved. It's come now in the market. But then there is a guidance document which says that, okay, there can be changes to an approved NDA or an ANDA. Now you will start wondering, oh, it's got approved. Now why do you need to change it? Now changes can come in different forms. You might suddenly realize that there was a sticking problem or a picking problem, and you had to add, say, aerosol or talc. The approved was 5%, and you had to tweak it. Sorry, the approved say was, if it's talc, maybe 1 or 2%, and you had to tweak it by, say, 2.5%. Now, can the manufacturer do this change on his own? Does he need to take permission from the regulatory authorities? Then what about the manufacturing side? Today, suppose you are in say Maharashtra, now there is a lockdown there, there's a pandemic or any other situation arises, labor issues, you got approval for a manufacturing site, and now tomorrow, next month, you want to take it to, say, north, somewhere in Delhi and in the north, and then can you move that product? Do you again need to go to the regulator? So changes keep happening is what I want to say. So there are various changes which come in. So every time again, the regulator has again given guidelines when you need to take permission, what you need to do, what is prior approval. So all these become a part of the changes which are given in the guidance document. Fine, now you might say the drug is available in the US, but not in India. And very often we hear, oh, it's too expensive. Indians cannot afford it. And number two is patent. And the example that you find here is mostly the anti-cancer drugs. Cancer is so rampant all around us, isn't it? Now, that's where I have to touch a little bit about patents when it comes to regulatory, because they both go hand in hand at some point of time. And if we are talking about regulatory and the commercial aspect and its business, one has to know a little bit about patents. So who is happy with a patent and who's not happy with a patent? So if I ask you this question, yes, the innovator company definitely is happy with the patent. Why? Because 15 years he's put in the time and the money. So he wants his money back, isn't it? Fair enough. Who is not happy? The patient. He says, you have done a drug or a molecule, you bought something in the market, but sorry, I can't afford it. So that's where the affordability and the research, one has to really think about it. You all, most of you MBA students are going to be managers. Tomorrow you are going to be in a higher positions. You are going to consider the cost factor. So think about these, what are the resources, what happens? So in a simple language, I know most of you know what is patent. It's given for a limited period of time. Full disclosure of the invention. It excludes others from making, using, and without the consent. Now, I just highlighted the important one. Once a company puts in a patent, there is full disclosure. Means anybody, you, me, everyone can go and see what that drug, what the patent is all about. So every research student, I would say that if you think of starting any research project, please do patent search as the first one. See what the company has done. And the last part is it excludes others. That means you know it, but you can't do it without the consent of the person or without the consent of the company who has taken the patent. And then we hear there are many case stories, and maybe I will come once again at some other time to talk more about patents. But you know that there are cases where companies have lost patent in a particular country and won in another country. So when does one apply for a patent? So now this is where is the connection. So if you are in the US and you go to the regulator and say, I want to put an application, the regulator will ask you, okay, is it patented? Or what do you want to do about it? So, and if there is a patent which is existing, then if it's a new drug, the innovator company has the patent. But if it's a generic, the regulator will ask that, okay, is the innovator patent still valid? That's where very often students study this in their course, where they say it is para 1, para 2, para 3, and para 4. So which means if I am a generic company, I will go to the regulator and say, oh, please give me permission. My drug would have either not been patented, the patent has already expired, or will say, I know patent exists, but I will not go into the market until that date passes. And the fourth one, I will tell the regulator, look, I know there is a patent, but I'm not infringing on that patent. Now this becomes very dicey. So what does the regulator do then? Does he give permission? So he will ask, oh, you're filing for approval from me, but you have to tell the innovator company that, why you're saying that you're not infringing on the patent. Now the innovator company will again become alarmed. He'll say, why is a generic coming into the market and challenging my patent? Why is he saying that I'm not infringing? So he needs at least 45 days and he gives an infringement suit saying that, okay, you're infringing. Then what happens? You get a period of 30 months wherein the generic company and the innovator company gets the time to sort out whether it is infringing on the patent or it is not infringing on the patent. And then that product comes into the market. So in simple words, one can enter the market by challenging an existing patent as per the laws of the country. This is what I want to say. Okay. So don't think that 20 years patent here is, that means nobody can come into the market. Okay. One can challenge that patent, but you got to know the laws of the country. And that's where the regulator also needs to understand the connection of patents. But again, why I said laws of the country? Because in India, it's different. In India, patent and patent approval and drug approval is not linked at all. Okay, so that's why the country specific is important. Then again is a story of compulsory licensing in India. This is one story which I always tell in my lectures, is only because that somebody takes a patent and keeps it. So this is what happened in case of Bayer. They took the patent, but if you see the A number point, the reasonable requirements of the public with respect to the patented invention were not satisfied. Number two, the patent in invention was not available to public at a reasonable price. And number three, the patent in invention was not worked in the territory of India. So Bayer was selling this drug at an obnoxious cost of 2,80,000, and Natco decided to sell it at just 8,800. And they applied. They told the patent authorities in India, look, Bayer has taken the patent and they're not doing anything about it. So the Indian public is suffering. So it was granted. So compulsory licensing was granted to them. Let's come back to Remdesivir. What happened in case of Remdesivir, the happy part of it, voluntary licensing agreements. Now, Gilead had to sign voluntary licensing agreements. Why? Because if you see in red, the licenses are royalty free in COVID pandemic until the World Health Organization declares the end of public health emergency. So that's another reason why that though there was a patent. So this is the bright side of it. So the balance is there that when in pandemic, one can come out. And this is one thing which I always feel bad, but I can't do anything about it. But I wish to share it. You must have heard in my CV, I very proudly say, oh, she's got a patent. But what did I do with it? I should have looked for a commercial partner while I was doing my PhD. I did not. I filed in 2009 thinking that, okay, it will come, it will not come. I didn't pay attention to it. Then after 7 years, when the patent was granted, it was too late for me to look for a commercial partner. The patent will expire in 2029. So my only thing I want to tell you, and this was the patent for my PhD work itself, very much in NMIS. I wish at that time I would have looked for a commercial partner. So I don't want you to make the mistake that I made. So that's the reason why I just put this slide. Okay, so far, as far as a regulator, we have thought about the research, the approvals, the patent links. Fine, you are out in the market. Now, the another important part of regulation is inspections. You got approved, but that's not like a lifetime approval. You are being monitored also. Are you doing the right thing at the right time? And that's why, again, I come back to US FDA inspections, because in India, very often you hear up in the paper, oh, this particular company got an FDA Form 483. What do you mean by an FDA Form 483? In an FDA Form 483, regulator goes for an inspection there. Now, this is an example of a Lupin Goa plant. And this is all there on the website in public domain. So what happened in this case, that they found that the company did not handle one particular out of specification test result. So these are the observations that come. And then why did US FDA go and inspect that plant? It is because the drugs made in that particular plant were being exported. So they are concerned about the drugs that go in their country. And they want to ensure that our Indian companies, whoever is doing it for export, is following the laws. So that's simple. Then again, we hear from US FDA after that, FDA 483 comes the warning letters. So they are nothing but they are violations of regulatory significance. And somewhere in the news, it says in 2019, we had the highest number. So this is where with due respects to Dr. PG Shrotriya, he's been my mentor. I was there with him in 2006. He's mentored me a lot during my years, and I can never forget. And he came out with this book, What Went Wrong. He's put in about 30 case studies. And I just picked up one case study, which I felt I can just talk to you today. It's about data integrity. And you see the arrow there, the blue arrow, the highest number of warning letters received by the top 3 countries during 2008 to 2017 were India 48, China 43, USA 28. So it's not that the warning letters are not there in the US. They're there only in India and China. No. But somewhere the question is that why data integrity? And that's where Sir has made a mention in his book that can we at the academic institution level, imbibe this in you. It's a simple thing. You go to the laboratory, you are doing some practical work, and very often you go to the UV spectrophotometer and you want to take a reading, simple reading. And you know that the correct answer is going to give you 0.9, but you are somewhere at 0.8. You feel that it's just 0.85. Can I write it as 0.89? Because there is no audit trail, nobody is watching you. Okay, so this, why do you want to do it? So this is what is the culture, and we feel that at an academic institute, it's like, sometimes you say good habits begin at home. So I would say that good habits for a professional career, pharmacy, your NMIMS is the place. That's your home. That's where we teachers, we alumni, everybody who's associated with NMIMS feels that no, my children, my students of this college have to earn a good name. The culture, the imbibement should all happen at the institutional level. So if you are in any dilemma, please talk to us. Okay. Then came the famous book, The Bottle of Lies, and it says Ranbaxy and the Dark Side of Indian Pharma. Though this book was released about 1.5 years ago, it was only in this pandemic that I found time to read it. And I was really shocked. And I just couldn't understand that why things went so wrong. And then when I read names of the people in the book with whom I have worked during my years, it is quite shocking. But it's there in print. So now, if you think of the commercial aspects, regulatory science or affairs, as you can call, there is money involved. Any lapse, any lapse on the regulatory fund costs money, be it the dossiers, be it the approvals, you want accelerated approvals, be it inspections in the form of 483 observations or warning letters, or be it the global markets in terms of patents. So regulatory science is all there in all commercial aspects. Every company has to think about regulatory in every stage of the life cycle of the drug. Just one small example I wanted to take is of a pediatric, because I'm a little more into pediatrics these days. Now you want to bring okay, let's begin. A neonate, infant, child, and adolescent. When you say pediatric, actually there are 4 age groups there. And a neonate cannot just take a tablet, right? A neonate needs drops. Then the same company has to take an adolescent, the company has to make a suspension. So imagine the company has to make 3 or 4 formulations for the pediatric group. Today, a lot of companies are not doing pediatric work. Now, I have taken the example of an anti-convulsant drug. Convulsions are very common in children. So now there is a drug like gabapentin, which I have put in red. Now, gabapentin, what would normally a doctor do? Okay, the adult dose is 500 milligrams. So the child, based on body weight and age, is going to have something less. But apparently drugs like gabapentin, when companies have done studies, they said that a higher dose is required in children because of metabolism of certain enzymes. Now such experiences can come as a shock. And then you might say that why are companies not doing pediatric development? Because they feel that for clinical trials, the pediatric group is not available, one formula does not fit all, the profitability is not there if you want to bring a pediatric drug into the market. So when you are a CEO of a company in future, think about it. Don't think only from adults, think of pediatric drug development also. So this is one anti-cancer drug. Just look at the red part. The first approval was in 2012. Then look at 2018. From 16 years, they only came up to 4 to 12 years. So in a 6-year time span, the drug was approved only up to this age group of 4. So less than 4 age, if there is an anti-convulsion, if there is a convulsion, today this particular drug is still not being used. The last part that I want to tell you is about the orphan drug. What is an orphan drug? Again, the same thing. Companies will not find profitability in this because it does not affect more people, right? So not more than 5 lakh. I know this family personally. That's the reason why I put this example. This girl has spinal muscular atrophy. There is no drug for this. She topped the 10th standard. She topped her 12th standard, but there's no cure. Roche came to India. Roche said that, okay, we will take about 34 children with us. We will do the trials. Now, at that time, we did not have compassionate use. Okay. So any untested drug under clinical trial phase 3 in any part of the world can be imported or manufactured So this rule came only on June 5 in COVID pandemic, and that's where when remdesivir also got the approval to be given to Indian patients. But in that process, what happened? 7 children died. These children were denied treatment. So somewhere I feel that, don't you think that we as pharmacists can influence certain decisions for the healthcare of a country? So regulatory science, when the guidelines come on the website, there is always a 20-day, 1 month period where anybody can go and write to the regulator and say, hey, look, we agree with you or we do not agree with you. But this awareness is not there amongst us. We ignore the laws of the country. So it's me too. I'm learning this now, but then I just wish to share with you that this awareness has to be there with us. So thank you for your attention. We can stay connected. I have my LinkedIn address, my email ID is there. Any query you can, please write it to me. And today I was really happy, Santosh, to hear about the journey of Hyderabad NMIMS. It just brought back to me like the good old days of NMIMS when we started, the Mumbai campus. It was real nostalgia, those 2-3 minutes. Like it was, I'm so happy. And mind you, students, like I'm here in Delhi today, and anything you are really, I would say that the brand NMIMS has definitely made it. Even they say, oh, you are from NM. Okay, yeah. So you already have a brand with you. Now it's up to you what you do with the brand. Okay, the brand stays, but then it's your effort also. And that's why I'm saying that each one of you need to reflect upon what you need to do, what you need to understand out of this. So I have just given you information. That's why I said it's not knowledge. You need to reflect yourself on it and get it. And one social message which I always like to give, because you are students who are 18 plus, right? And some of you will know this, Santosh knows, Anil sir knows this. I don't think on this forum, I would say, I don't think I would have ever quit NMIMS had it not been for the car crash in 2011. I was going to my own NM, I would say my own NM today. I had a lecture and I traveling in a car from Thane to Vileparle. And the crash happened. The images of our own car. I was not driving. I was sitting in the rear seat. And the only message and the learning that I learned, I lost a friend in this crash. She could not survive. So the social message here is that a rear seat belt is important. All of us were sitting in the back seat. And when the car braked, she was thrown on the windscreen. Why? We all learn inertia, we all learn momentum, but we never think of it in a daily life. Even I never thought about it. I never thought that I will leave my back seat and reach the front. And that's where I have my own Facebook page and I keep giving lectures. The only reason I say that buckle up in the rear seat. Nothing happened to the driver and the passenger who was sitting. Can you imagine? Look at the car. He just walked out of the car. And who bore the brunt of the crash? All three of us who were sitting behind. Okay, so my dear students, every time you get a license and you're in the driver's seat, ensure that everybody behind is having a seatbelt on. Okay, please share this message with your family and friends too. I'm happy to take your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. And I still remember in every of your lecture, you end up your session with this message. And, for to your knowledge, even whenever, means after the Shirpur session, the first time I heard it, after the Shirpur session, I really practiced this for the rear seat belts.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I never start my engine without wearing the seat belt.
Thank you. But even in the back seat, it is back seat. That's where people miss out, because the police gives a fine only to the person not wearing the front seat belt. This has to change. But unfortunately, our this is what I learned now sitting here in Delhi. I did work with a lot of NGOs. So they say the Central Motor Vehicle Act is there, but the states are not. Each state has to apparently follow the fines and whatever they are doing, which is like, I said, oh my God, So what happens in Delhi doesn't necessarily happen in Hyderabad or Mumbai. The fines are also different.
That's the strange. That's the strange.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you, ma'am.
students. So
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for such a great, knowledgeable, and insightful talk about regulatory science and its impact on pharmaceutical business. I would now like to open the session for the question and answer round. Students are requested to break the ice and clear their doubts. Any questions? You guys can
Can
raise
I
your
go
hands.
for?
Yeah.
Yes, Sawan, yes.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Savan. I'm a second year MBA PharmTech student. Ma'am, my question is regarding the orphan drug, which was there in one of your last slides. Uh, I want to know if it is, I mean, if it is anywhere related to, any demographics factors, because it stated that, these drugs are for, people who, the number of people affected less than, not more than 5 lakh, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
So
in
can,
India, in India it is 5 lakhs. I think in US they say it is 2 lakhs. So so it depends upon the population of the country, and then each country decides which you label as an orphan. So if you now imagine you are you are tomorrow the CEO of a company, okay? Your marketing says ki, okay, this we got these are the 1 2 3 4 5 6 drugs which probably our company can go in. You got to take that call. Should I work on an orphan drug or should I not work on an orphan drug? Because the sale will not be there, isn't it? So the patients are less. So how do you take that call? When do you take that call? And unless you know somebody who's really suffering from it, you are blissfully unaware of it. So even like you, I also was not aware. And when I saw this family so closely and their struggle, and like it just opened my eyes. So each one of us, unless we see somebody so close now, we don't realize. We don't realize because we just close our eyes and walk away.
Very true.
Any other
thank you,
questions?
ma'am.
Can I have a follow-up on that question that Savan asked?
Yes, please.
Yeah, this is Dr. Lakshman Pulli, ma'am. It was a nice presentation from your side. The follow-up that I wanted to ask, does it mean that the orphan drugs would be expensive given the fact that the number of takers of the drug are very less? So to begin with, it's a disadvantageous position even for the pharmaceutical companies to invest, because no way we are compromising on the development aspect. So if the target population is less in numbers, and does it really mean that if those drugs are going to be very expensive? I'm not aware of it. That's why I thought you're the right person to ask.
No, they are not expensive because affordability is always an issue, right? You make something which is not affordable. So it's all related to funding finally. So there are companies where the funds are available. They have kept those funds aside. So the companies, like for example, Roche. Now, why did it select 34 children from India? Because they knew that the parents can't afford it. Still, they said, okay, fine. And why did Roche decide to go into it? Because Roche has the funds with them, specially marked and kept aside for such diseases. So, there is something, even WHO, they have got something called as drugs for neglected diseases. So there is a lot of research. So finally, it boils down to funding. So if Savan just asked me, if I asked him the question, if you're a CEO of the company, you say, do I have the money, right? Unless you have the money, you won't do it, Savan, isn't it? So you've got to be so rich that you need to have those reserves kept aside. And at some point of time, yes, there is money, right? It's not that Roche has the money, Pfizer has the money. The big giants do have the money and they have kept it aside. So it is expensive, no doubt. And then, okay, what's the incentive? I think in the US, what they have done, if I remember, they have given the exclusivity period a certainly higher. So that means no generic will come quickly into the market. Because the company, number one, has drugged an orphan, has worked on an orphan drug. Number two, has put in so much time and effort. So they will not allow the generics to come quickly into the market. So they have got something called as an orphan drug exclusivity. That means the regulator will also not accept the file. And generally you will not find, because the generics, who are the generics? They are normally the ones who will come in to compete with the innovator. But then everybody has the balance of the cash. It depends whether can the really company afford to come. into the market. So I would, Dr. Lakshman, the answer to your question is yes, there are funds kept aside only for such diseases and only for such.
So it all ends with money there. If you have money, you do it. Yeah, thank you.
Ma'am, thank you for your wonderful session. I just want to ask the question in continuation with Savan and Lakshman. There is this orphan drug exclusivity offered by the US and European Union. What about our country?
Okay. Okay, sorry, I have not checked the latest one as far as the India is concerned about whether there are companies who are doing and what is the exclusivity, if at all, that is given. Sorry, I need to check. I have made a note on that. But I have not come across, but still I will not give this answer because I don't know. I will check that initially.
Even ma'am, I have tried to check, but I didn't find anything as far as the exclusivity, orphan drug exclusivity in our country. So I thought you might be having answer because you are.
Yeah, because now you think about new drug approvals also, no? If we think, is there, I gave you the slide of around 40 new drugs in the US. You and I know that which is the new drug that came in our country for the first time. There was one saroglitazar, if I remember, the Zydus Cadila was trying to follow it. And then they got approval in India, but in the US they told them, no, you need more trials till it is accepted. It was left at that. India today mostly is on the generics, isn't it? Though now we see a lot of biological molecules coming out and we know Biocon is doing work, we know XYZ come, but it's all related finally to funding and the money. So that's why in orphan drug, why you and I have not heard about it. Probably it is written in the law somewhere, which I definitely will dig out. But it doesn't come on the surface because it didn't come out, right? Nobody has worked on an orphan drug. Yeah. Here in India, we are still struggling to get new drug approvals for our own people, for our own. And who's looking after the orphan drugs today, isn't it? We don't have the money. We don't have those funds set aside. Unless some philanthropist has really kept like that money. Like, for example, I know for this spinal muscular, this very condition closely related to it is dystrophy. So there is a Bangalore-based company, and why they have kept those funds is because somebody in their family has gone through it. Okay. You know, so that's the reason why we need to, think about it. And of course, it's the commercial aspect of it. But
even in US and Europe, the government is giving incentives to manufacturers to invent this orphan drugs.
Yes.
But I never heard, as far as our country is concerned, tax exemption and so many other incentives they are giving.
Yeah, but you and I can change it, isn't it? Fight for it, no? At least we can bring it to the notice of the regulators. Why not?
Ma'am, let me add one thing, like IPC Bangalore, we presented the paper in regulatory. One of my student, Masum Khan, he presented that paper in our country and he received the first prize. Most of the drug inspectors and FDA people, they were sitting and there was a huge discussion on this topic. But after that, it was in 2000, I think 10 or 11. Uske baad kuch hua nahi. They discussed that this is very serious issue and we have to think in that direction, but it's a typical Indian FDA.
No,
and nothing was happening.
It's all us. It's our awareness. We are not aware of it. When this lady asked me that can I give feedback when this compassionate use on June 5th, the government said yes, you can do compassionate use. So I heard it, believe me, for the first time. Though I call myself a PhD teaching in pharmacy for so many years, I did not know this term compassionate use. Only when she approached me, and then I dug up, and then I started, okay, US, everywhere it is there. And in India, compassionate use law was not there. And only because of COVID pandemic, finally, it got on June 5th, where then remdesivir started coming. And these children, because they were pursuing this case since December. For compassionate use because Roche had selected and the regulator did not pay attention or whatever, XYZ. I don't want to blame anybody. But that's what the awareness is not there, we lack it. That's all I would say.
Quite interesting part in the regulatory also.
So it's like stories and case studies, only when something comes out, then you start digging and start wondering why it happened, And like Dr. Shotriya's book, I want to talk to him today. Like all those 30 case studies are really interesting, and the pharma tech cases, more for pharma tech, but yeah, it's there. I think it's like this, each one of us can write a story, right? Anything, each one. If you think, why do you think only some people can write? All of you students can also start writing some incidences in your life and reflect upon it and think why it happened and why it did not happen.
Very true.
Yes,
Any other
questions?
questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. Can I go?
Yeah.
A very good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Manaswini, a second year student. Ma'am, I wanted to ask that is it right to say that, like you just mentioned, and that during the pandemic, there are no regulations as such. I mean, it's because it's an emergency situation. Nobody has to patent their own drug. So is it like an undue advantage? So if I mean, let's say India comes up with a molecule, and China also sees the molecule, so it's not patented, so they can legit copy the molecule and say that it's theirs or something like that. Is it like a good thing?
Okay. So yeah, it is. See, today, if you look, everybody is racing for whatever vaccine or whatever that comes in. Okay. Now, even if this question is something again at very top level, I don't know what the world organizations are thinking about it, right? Now you see most of the countries are doing research together. They have all agreed to share the data and share the information. So the cost factor, I think in pandemic it would not really matter. Somewhere it's humanity finally. Unless, but you see, I think I read one in print somewhere that whenever there was one global meeting in which US and China did not attend that. They did not sign that agreement of doing research work together. I had the news clipping somewhere. So as far as now, this is for an existing patent, the existing rules, okay? And that's why Gilead could give the license. But now knowing there is a pandemic and now next what? So Gilead had worked on this before, okay? So he had taken patent permissions, he had taken patent before only in India also and in several other countries. But now the situation is different. Now we are in pandemic and everybody's working on it. Then what is the royalty part and how this will happen? Sorry, again, another question for me to note down. I will definitely find out this answer also and send it to Dr. Patel. It's a good one. And because I also never thought of it, that will they really patent it? But we know so far that most countries are working, there are collaborations happening, isn't it? Nobody is doing it all alone. We know that the drug trial which is happening in the UK and a part of it is happening in India. So there is some sort of agreement, but what will happen to the patent in this case? I need to check that answer. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, that's one thing
Thank
I
you,
never
ma'am.
thought again.
I think we can have a last question. Any more questions?
Ma'am, I have one question. That may not be exactly related to this topic, but it's very related to the regulations. Ma'am, recently one of the fellow from our country filed public interest litigation against the companies, those who have marketed the drugs, but they haven't taken any permission from the government. So how this is possible in any other cases than this COVID situation?
Okay, they marketed without permission. How is that possible?
Yes. So there is a public litigation recently, like day before yesterday, I read in the Times of India that the 4 companies now government issued notice against them to put forward the data on the basis of they launched the drug.
Yeah, because they cannot do that because we have the laws in place. Like unless you submit your file, unless you submit the data to CDSCO, Unless the approvals comes, you can't get the manufacturing and the marketing
No,
license.
they got manufacturing permissions for something else.
Ah,
Sell the drug for something else.
oh, okay. Then they have broken the law.
Okay. Okay.
Or maybe they misinterpreted the definition of a drug, probably. So you
So
see
that
that
is
law.
what actually my intention is, only bring the attention to this area. So are there still loop and hole to bridge this definition and take the commercial benefit out of it?
Yeah, see, one is the definition of drug. Now, I in my lecture today, I only spoke about drugs. Now, what about medical devices? How many of you have thought about medical devices? The company where I'm currently working is medical device. I didn't speak about device because I myself am learning. And believe me, I'm really studying the medical device rule of India, trying to compare with US, EU, and I'm still not to reach that stage where I can talk about it. So I still lack the experience, but then I'm surprised, that the device definition. Do you know now that software is also a medical device? Indian government has put,
Yes.
it has come, software as medical device. Now think about it. There are voluntary registrations happening, and even stethoscope is a medical device. Even something like, condoms were always a medical device, sanitary pads. So there's a big list that the government has come out with. And you imagine now you got to fit in the definition of a medical device to some these. So what's the law? What are the manufacturers going to do? So the list is there, and we are not aware also. Now, because I'm working, I became aware of medical devices. Otherwise, in my prior experience, I have never worked on medical devices. So I can't talk about it today, but yes, the definition. So software, I was shocked. Software as medical device, how does this work? And then I saw that it's there in the US, it's there in the EU, but our government has put in now. So all of us, we don't know what. You all are now going learning cloud computing, and I don't know what now. The technology is there, but I don't know how it's going to be regulated.
I
have 2
got
years.
this. Yeah, I got to read this news from I think last 1 week. There was a news like one fellow from Indore. He protected himself because of the Apple Watch.
Okay.
The heart rate and the entire mechanism, it got observed in the watch that it is disturbing.
Okay.
And after that, the Apple announced, and Apple specially recommended, and get follow up of that patient.
Okay.
Now, and at that time, I come to know that that watch also comes under the medical devices.
Correct.
So after some days, even if I call this is as a medical device, so there will be no surprise then.
Definitely.
It can be used as oximeter, sir.
Yeah.
Pulse oximeter also. True.
You can use your mobile phone as a pulse oximeter. So
yeah, that is what I'm saying.
There you go.
Afterwards, we can have medical device routinely in your hand.
There are special rings also that you wear that measure your calories. They keep measuring what you're eating daily. So
Correct.
European Union, they have a wonderful guideline as far as the medical devices are concerned. They are the first one to launch this guideline, followed by US, and even we launched this Medical Device Regulation Act in 2008. Madam might be reading that.
Yeah. I'm reading the 2017 one, and now I'm reading the amendments of
17 yeah, changes.
Yeah, where they have put a list, and then every we are like grappling to see, oh my God, so much is in a medical device, and it's a totally different thing than a drug. It's totally different. So
Totally different.
yeah.
Ma'am, one question. If Arunima permits me, I would like to ask one question.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, you was talking about the pediatric regulation, pediatric drug regulation. How it is different from the like other drugs?
So normally when companies do trials, clinical trials, they look at the adults only. Correct? So you are going to do the data. So let's go back to the basics. CTD may, you're going to put the data. You're going to put the formulation data. You're going to do the animal data. You're going to put in the human data. Now, in your clinical trials, if you enroll only adults, you will get only adult data. correct? Now you, the company will say, I didn't find pediatrics. So what the FDA regulator will do, he will not give permission for pediatrics. Okay. So the drug comes out in the market and there is no pediatric. Now you are, now imagine Santosh is a doctor. Now Santosh will say, Arey, Anil sir, aapka to drug aa gaya market mein, I have a child here. Now what dose do I give? You will tell him, no, I didn't do this study. So then what Santosh will think, he'll go back to his and say, he's a doctor, acha, body weight, age, group karke, he will give it. So that we call as off-label use. So in the US, in EU, what now they are done in the law is, they are not allowing, they are not giving drug approval unless the company puts forth a pediatric plan. So the company has to justify why you are not enrolling children. And today, if you are not enrolling children in the trial, when will you do it? So if you remember that example that I gave on Perenapel of anticonvulsant drug, 2012 made a God approval, but still the regulator kept on going behind them, asking, we need more data, give us the plan. So even EU, in US it is called PSP, Pediatric Study Plan. In EU it is called PIP, Pediatric Investigation Plan. So the regulators there are not giving permission to any company unless they give out a pediatric plan. And unless the company does trials. Okay, now there is something called as modeling and simulation. I don't know, the pharmacology students would have heard about it. I only heard the term, but I still have to dwell deeper into it. Apparently, there are no clinical trials. By modeling and simulation, one can predict. So there are these models which are being developed, and especially this is very helpful for pediatrics. You don't have, you won't get a neonate, right, for a pediatric trial. It's so difficult. So then apparently these are the tools, and that's where I said the science part comes into it. You know, the countries there, like some of, because I'm studying my course, I realized, you know, they are so advanced. They are 10 years ahead of us. I think they are talking about all these models, which I don't understand today, unfortunately. Maybe I will slowly, but it's going bonkers today, if you ask me. So that's where if you don't find, there are these models called modeling and simulation. The term looks very nice, but sorry, I don't know how to study. Maybe after 1 year I'll tell you. But it's there. It's there.
Inspiring, ma'am. Inspiring.
Thank you for your answer.
Now we can move ahead. Aditi, go ahead.
Thank you, students, our faculty members, and Dr. Pradhan for addressing our queries. I would now like to invite Vedvati to extend her vote of thanks to the speaker.
Thank you, Aditi. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my privilege to present vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of our today's guest speaker, Dr. Varsha Pradhan, who spared her busy time to be with us through this virtual platform. She also shared some interesting and insightful aspects in the session, thereby justifying the topic regulatory science and its impact on pharmaceutical business by shining light on how regulation has science to it, the drug discovery development cycle, the challenges of pediatric drug development, etc. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your today's topic, which included a wide vision and a lucid explanation that would really go a long way in our coming future. You're always welcome to visit our campus once the lockdown gets lifted. And I would also like to thank all the students, our faculty, and our school head, Dr. Anil Pethe, for their continuous support and helping us to plan and execute the event. Finally, I would like to thank the members of Dovetail committee for the hard work they had done in putting the lecture happen through the virtual mode. Thank you all for your patient listening, and we shall meet yet again next Saturday with another speaker to enlighten us on interesting topic.
Thank you, Vedvati. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Anil Pethe, Associate Dean, SPTM Hyderabad, to present the certificate as a token of appreciation.
Thank you very much, Varsha ma'am, for your valuable time and guiding your juniors, rather I can say your students. And if you have any plan to relocate at Hyderabad, please think about NMIMS Hyderabad, SPTM NMIMS Hyderabad, because I am planning to start MPharm in drug regulatory affairs. maybe after 2 years, I'm planning to start that MPharm program. So if you have any plan, please think about that. Even maybe like as the adjunct professor, or will think about that. And thank you very much, ma'am. We always since 2006, when I was working at Shirpur campus and you were there at Mumbai campus, uh, you were the first person I used to contact every time I used to contact for any help which is required from Mumbai. And thank you very much, because we were heading the placement department at our respective school, and we have that special bonding because of that placement. And in the same year we received the award, best faculty award. You received from Mumbai and I received from Shirpur campus. So once again, thank you very much. And even after lockdown, if you have any plan to visit Hyderabad campus, please do visit, and you are most welcome. And please address our student whenever you will get opportunity. And this is not the only Dovetail session, but maybe I can trouble you if any topic is there related to regulatory, even related to SUTIX. I can trouble you and request you to share your knowledge with our student. And student, let me tell you that Varsha ma'am was the best teacher at Mumbai campus. Students used to love her like anything because of her nature, very humble nature, and wonderful teacher. So thank you very much, ma'am.
Can I just take this opportunity to thank Dr. R.S. Gaud?
Yes, ma'am.
He is the visionary. And, in those years when we started, it was all because of Dr. Gaud that we could really open up and get and do our best. So as a visionary, Dr. Gaud is always there. My own guide, Dr. Bala Prabhakar, who is now the Dean in Mumbai campus, yet another inspiration. And honestly, whether be it Mumbai, Shirpur, Hyderabad, NM is NM to me, and I will be there. If any student writes to me at any point of time in my best of capabilities, I'll answer. Questions I know, I'll say, yes, I know. I do not know, I'll say, I do not know, but I'll definitely get by. So I know this to be the homework that I have to do. And at heart, I'm always a student. So thank you so much.
That's what inspiration, ma'am. That's what inspiration for all of us.
Yeah,
every time
whatever the vision that Dr. Gaud had in 2006, the same vision we are following with his blessings and his advice and day-to-day interaction with Gaud sir and Bala ma'am. The same thing we are trying to follow here. Whatever the good practices that we followed at other two campuses, the same thing we are following here. And fortunately, we have a good faculty members, team of good faculty members, Dr. Lakshman Puli. Dr. Lakshman, if you can introduce ma'am, introduce yourself to ma'am.
Yeah.
Rahul is there, Dr. Kapil is there.
Yeah.
Maybe we can, 2-3 minutes more.
Yeah, I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm a neuroscience researcher. So previously I did my PhD in Alzheimer's research, and then before I did it in Europe. So during my career, I have spent time in Europe as well as in US, and then I returned back. I worked as a assistant professor at NIPER, Raebareli, and then now I wanted to come back home. So Hyderabad is my home, and I'm happily teaching here at B.Pharm students. As far as my research interests are there, I'm mostly interested into the brain immune responses and how we can use them not to treat aging. People need to age, but then again to treat the diseases, age-related diseases. So there is a difference between healthy aging and a diseased aging. So that is my main core. And in terms of skills, I have expertise in animal testing. I have expertise in biochemical testing as well, by developing biochemical assays. So hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years, I will get an opportunity to set up a lab. Hopefully he's saying that MPharm will come, so research will happen. Then that would be it. So this is a very short introduction part.
Wow, definitely good to hear from you, Dr. Lakshman. I'll contact you now for when I get stuck in those.
I will be very happy. I'll be very happy.
Thank you.
Dr. Rahul. Rahul sir, are you there?
Yeah, Rahul sir is here.
Kapil sir.
Yes, sir. Hello. Good afternoon, ma'am. It's Dr. Kapil here. I completed my post-graduation and PhD from Naipur, Mohali. I am a chemistry person. My expertise as per research is concerned the synthetic chemistry, mainly different type of synthesis of organic compound. As a teacher, just my target is that that chemistry should be very understandable for my student, as that most of the students consider it's a very difficult subject. So just my target to be role model for a student. So make chemistry easy. Thank you with the small
Thank you,
introduction.
Dr. Kapil. Yeah, it's like, I never liked chemistry when I was a student. Honestly, honestly, I was always scared of chemistry.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Dr. Rahul, yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir, yes,
You're audible.
Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Dr. Pradhan,
Yes, yes, you
Dr.
are
Rahul
audible.
Maheshwari, I recently completed my national postdoctoral fellowship awarded by the sub DST, Government of India, to work in drug and gene delivery laboratory at Naipur, Ahmedabad, focusing on the formulation of anti-cancer therapeutics via nanotechnology-based approaches. I mainly worked on the cancer, arthritis, and skin diseases. My current research areas included the delivery of the following to the human cells, such as the small therapeutic molecules, nucleic acid materials, and apart from that, I'm well versed with the design and development of lipid-based nanocarriers, metallic nanoparticles such as the gold and silver, carbon nanoparticles such as the carbon nanotubes, and the graphene. So this is just a small introduction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good to hear, Dr. Rahul. What a great team.
Yes, ma'am, it's the beginning, and I am fortunate to have wonderful team members with me. All are so dedicated and so passionate about their teaching and research, and they are also helping me in administrative part because this is the new campus. We are in the establishment state, and they are helping me like anything.
Good to hear. All the best.
Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am.
That was wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, teachers and ma'am. With this, I would like to conclude the moderation and ask Dr. Anil Pethe to conclude this session.
Thank you. I have already concluded, Arunima.
Okay, see you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Student, be here for another 5 minutes. I would like to talk to you.
Okay, fine. So I'll leave the meeting.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, bye.
Be safe and take care, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you.
Students, be there. Today, when we started the meeting at 11 o'clock, there were only 15 students, and later on, like the number has.
So for second year, I want to tell there was the class, so I just bind up at 11 for second year.
Okay.
So
No issue, no issue. But
so
even
once again,
after that.
so the session is live. So if